くりレ夢ムです。
ゆっくりマリサだぜ。
Hi, Raimo. Hi, Marissa. Hey guys. Today, let's learn about the laws of prime numbers.
ゆっくりしていってね。
The human senses are G-opening. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Today, I want to talk about something that might sound almost too strange to believe at first. The idea that your senses, every single one of them, are secretly governed by a branch of mathematics called logarithms. Now, before you click away, I promise you, this is not a dry math lecture. There will be no equations, no formulas, no numbers to memorize. What there will be is something I think is genuinely astonishing. The realization that the way you see, hear, smell, taste, touch, and even experience the passage of time is not arbitrary. It follows a precise, elegant mathematical structure that nature quietly built into your body hundreds of millions of years ago. This might seem obvious, but stop and think about what it's really telling you. The physical change was the same both times. The information your nervous system received was different both times. Your senses are not responding to the absolute size of a stimulus. They're responding to its size relative to what was already there. You don't experience the world in raw physical units. You experience it in ratios. This observation, elegant in its simplicity and profound in its implications, was first systematically studied by a German physiologist named Ernst Heinrich Weber in 1834. Weber ran careful experiments on the sense of touch and weight discrimination. He discovered that the smallest difference a person can detect between two stimuli is not a fixed amount, but a fixed proportion of the original stimulus. For weight, you need roughly a 2% change to notice a difference. For brightness of light, about 8%. For loudness of sound, closer to 10%. The ratios differ between senses, but the core principle is the same. Your threshold for noticing a change is proportional to the background level of that sensation. This became known as Weber's law. And while it was a major discovery, Weber himself stopped there. He had mapped the boundary of perception, the minimum detectable difference, but hadn't yet answered the larger question of how sensation itself scales with stimulus intensity. That next step would come from his student. Chapter 2. Fechner, the man who tried to measure the soul. Gustav Theodor Fechner was born in 1801 in what is now Germany. He was trained as a physicist, but what truly consumed him was a question that sat at the intersection of science and philosophy. Can the subjective inner world of experience be measured with the same precision as the physical outer world? This was, by the standards of his day, a radical idea bordering on heresy. The dominant view of the time held a firm wall between mind and matter. Physical phenomena could be measured, weighed, and described mathematically. But the intensity of a sensation, how bright something feels, how loud something sounds, how heavy something seems, belonged to a different, unmeasurable realm entirely. Fechner refused to accept that wall. In 1860, after years of mathematical work built on Weber's experimental foundation, he published a landmark book called Elemente der Psychophysik, Elements of Psychophysics. In it, he proposed what is now called the Weber-Fechner law, which states, the magnitude of a sensation grows in proportion to the logarithm of the stimulus intensity. Let me unpack that without using any math. Think of a logarithm as counting the number of zeros, or better yet, as a way of expressing how many times you've multiplied a number. If a sound gets 10 times louder, you don't feel it as 10 times louder. You feel it as 1 step louder. If it gets 100 times louder, you feel it as 2 steps louder. 1,000 times louder feels like 3 steps. The physical world piles up in enormous multiplicative jumps. Your brain is a compressor. It takes an overwhelming range of physical reality and translates it into a manageable, navigable experience. The philosophical weight of Fechner's discovery should not be underestimated. For the first time in history, someone had proposed and begun to demonstrate that the subjective experience of the mind could be described with the language of mathematics. The bridge between the inner world and the outer world had been sketched in equations for the first time. Fechner himself considered this the defining achievement of his life. He believed he had laid the foundation for a true science of the relationship between mind and matter. In many ways, he was right. The field he named psychophysics is still active today, and his law remains its cornerstone. Chapter 3. What Your Ears Know. The invention of the decibel, the most vivid and accessible proof of the Weber-Fechner law, is what happens when you try to measure sound. The physical intensity of a sound wave is measured in units of pressure. The faintest sound a healthy human ear can detect, imagine the rustle of a single leaf or the soft hiss of air moving through an empty room, is almost incomprehensibly small. The roar of a jet engine at close range has a physical pressure roughly 1 million times greater. If you tried to build a sound meter that displayed raw physical pressure values, the scale would be absurd. The difference between a quiet library and normal conversation would be a tiny sliver at the bottom. Everything interesting about human hearing would be crushed into a corner. So engineers didn't do that. Instead, they built the decibel scale. The decibel, named after Alexander Graham Bell, is a logarithmic unit. Every time the physical sound pressure multiplies by 10, the decibel value increases by 20. That 1 million-fold range from silence to jet engine compresses neatly into about 120 decibels. More importantly, equal steps on the decibel scale correspond to equal perceived changes in loudness. The scale was designed to match human hearing, because human hearing follows a logarithmic curve. A whispered conversation registers around 30 decibels. Normal speech, around 60. A rock concert, around 110. The difference between whispering and a rock concert is only 80 decibels, but in raw physical terms, the concert is 10 billion times louder. Your ears compress that 10 billion-fold range into something you can navigate without going mad. This is not just a curiosity of acoustics. The decibel is used throughout engineering, electronics, signal processing, and communications. Any field that must work with quantities that span enormous ranges and be interpreted by human perception. Every time you adjust the volume on your phone, every time a sound engineer levels a mix, every time a noise regulation is enforced, the decibel, and the logarithmic law behind it, is at work. Chapter 4. What the Stars Know. Ancient eyes and the birth of the magnitude scale. Now, let's look upward. Around 150 BCE, the Greek astronomer Hipparchus cataloged the stars visible to the naked eye and divided them into 6 groups based on their brightness. The brightest stars he called first magnitude. The dimmest stars his eyes could see, he called sixth magnitude. The steps in between were assigned based on how bright the stars appeared to him and his contemporaries. Hipparchus had no telescope, no photometer, no scientific instruments of any kind. He was simply recording what his eyes told him. 19 centuries later, in the 1800s, astronomers began measuring starlight with precision instruments and discovered something remarkable. The stars that Hipparchus had ranked as first magnitude were not slightly brighter than sixth magnitude stars. They were roughly 100 times brighter, in terms of physical light energy reaching the eye. And within that 100-fold range, each step of 1 magnitude corresponded to a brightness ratio of about 2.5. First to second magnitude, 2.5 times brighter. Second to third, another 2.5 times. 5 steps, 5 multiplications by 2.5, equals roughly 100. Hipparchus, working from naked eye observation alone, had unconsciously created a logarithmic scale. His eyes, like all human eyes, were compressing light intensity logarithmically, and he had simply transcribed what he saw. The magnitude scale is still used in astronomy today, and here is where language becomes fascinating. The word for a star's magnitude in English is magnitude, the same word used for the scale of an earthquake. That is not a coincidence. Chapter 5. What the Earth Knows. Earthquakes, acids, and the logarithm beneath everything. The Richter scale and its successor, the moment magnitude scale, measure earthquake energy using a logarithmic system. Each increase of 1 unit in magnitude represents approximately 32 times more energy released. An increase of 2 units means roughly 1,000 times more energy. The 2011 Tohoku earthquake in Japan, which triggered a catastrophic tsunami, registered a magnitude of 9.0. A magnitude 7.0 earthquake, already considered major, releases about 1,000 times less energy. The difference between these two events is not captured by the numbers 7 and 9 feeling close together on the scale. Those two numbers hide a factor of 1,000. Why logarithmic? Because earthquakes span an almost incomprehensible range of energies, from imperceptible microtremors to civilization-scale catastrophes. A linear scale would require numbers so large as to be meaningless. The logarithmic scale compresses that range into something human minds can work with. And once again, the scale chosen by scientists matches the range of human intuition, because human intuition itself is logarithmic. The same principle appears in chemistry with pH, the scale used to measure acidity. pH is defined as the negative logarithm of the hydrogen ion concentration in a solution. pH 7 is neutral. pH 1 is strongly acidic. The difference between them in hydrogen ion concentration is not 6 times, it is 1,000,000 times. The scale compresses a 1,000,000-fold chemical range into the neat distance between 1 and 7. Battery acid, stomach acid, coffee, pure water, baking soda, bleach, their pH values fit on a scale from 0 to 14. That tidy range conceals variations of trillions of times in actual chemical concentration. The logarithm makes it manageable. So here we have it. Sound in decibels, starlight in magnitudes, earthquakes in Richter units, acidity in pH. For entirely different domains of science. For entirely different phenomena. One mathematical principle connecting them all. And that principle was not invented for its own sake. It was discovered because it mirrors the structure of human perception. Chapter 6. What Music Knows. The hidden logarithm in every scale. Let me ask you something, and I want you to really think about it before I explain. When you play a piano, the distance between any two adjacent white keys sounds like the same step to your ear. C to D feels like the same interval as G to A. The musical distance seems equal throughout the keyboard. This sense of equal spacing is what makes music comprehensible, what allows melodies to transpose from key to key and still sound the same. But here's the thing. Those intervals are not physically equal. The frequency, the number of vibrations per second, of the note A above middle C is 440 Hz. 1 octave higher, it's 880 Hz. Not 440 plus some fixed amount, 440 multiplied by 2. In Western music, each octave doubles the frequency. And within each octave, the 12 semitones are arranged not as equal additions, but as equal multiplications. Each semitone multiplies the frequency by the same ratio, approximately 1.06. This is a geometric sequence. Equal ratios, not equal differences. And what does your brain do with a geometric sequence? It hears it as equal steps. because your auditory system processes frequency logarithmically. This is not a cultural choice. It is a biological reality. Every musical tradition in the world, from the chromatic scale of Western classical music to the ragas of Indian classical music to the pentatonic scales found across Asia and Africa, organizes pitch in a way that reflects the logarithmic response of human hearing. Musicians from isolated cultures, working entirely independently, converged on similar interval structures because their ears all obeyed the same law. The mathematics behind why a chord sounds harmonious, why a fifth or an octave creates a sense of resolution while a tritone creates tension, is deeply tied to the ratio relationships between frequencies and the logarithmic way the ear processes them. And here is what I find most beautiful about this. Johann Sebastian Bach did not understand the Weber-Fechner law. Hildegard von Bingen did not know what a logarithm was. The composers who built the cathedral of Western music were not following equations. They were following their ears. And their ears, shaped by evolution over millions of years, had been following logarithms all along. I want to pause here and ask you something. Now that you know the musical scale is built on logarithmic ratios, does that change how you experience music? Does it feel colder, more mechanical? Or does it feel more miraculous that something so mathematical could produce something so deeply emotional? Drop your answer in the comments. I'm genuinely curious. You have always been a mathematical instrument. You just didn't have the name for the equation. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. If you found this video meaningful, a like and a subscription would mean a great deal, and it helps more people find their way here. Until next time, keep listening, keep looking, keep feeling. The world has more structure than it seems, and so do you.